I know you were trying to prompt me in there. You all right?
I wasn't trying.
Yeah,
I
you
did.
were.
I did.
Yeah, you okay?
You coughed. Am I okay?
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Good. Matthew?
I'd be fine if you put my mic on.
Ask him again.
Thank you. I'm good.
Go
now,
again, Matt.
yeah.
What did you say?
I'd be fine if you put my mic on.
I've had 3 pints.
I've had
Richie's
one-
had a
I've had
couple,
one
so
beer. I've had one
yeah,
beer.
we're struggling.
Looking
Stay
after
at this.
everyone.
I'm not even going to start again now. This is how it is.
This is how it is. Cook
it's
fellas
good.
Gisborough.
All right.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We're going to order some tapas after. Spoke
And
to Helen, the owner.
we spoke to Ellen for 10 minutes on the
What a
on the pod,
story.
and then
That is a podcast in itself.
an hour
like,
in
what
itself. After, yeah.
amazing. I won't spoil it because it's a thing, but to see our women in our lives supporting us as men
Yeah.
like she has is humbling and
She's
incredible.
got the gift, man.
Very
She's
nice.
got the gift. That's for sure. I had no idea, by the way. I knew Helen, my son works here and all that stuff, and I
Unbelievable.
had that conversation. But then when she hit me with it, it made sense because I'd met her a few times, felt some really good energy from her, and now it all adds up. Like, she's very supportive. She's got a nice nature about her. Do you know what I mean? So when she told me the story, it absolutely made sense.
Well,
I need
should
to
we,
explain why I'm laughing now, as well.
should we get going?
because-
Should we put our intro on?
We've got a troublemaker.
We have got a
in the
troublemaker
midst.
today.
I felt her energy, and I just have to be clear. That's what got him. Yeah, right there, Gary.
Perfect.
Thank you, Gary.
Just waiting for my energy to come out.
Did it,
Oh, well.
pal? Listen, we've got some wipes around in different places. So if you do leak any energy anywhere, we'll make sure Matt
Plasma.
wipes it up. Yeah.
My plasma might come out.
This is but she has got that atmosphere about it. She's got that vibe about it. And she's
But
very-
lovely, like even just around a passion for food and everything service. When I was talking to her about like service of people and stuff, and really good. So it's worth a listen.
servicing people. I wanted.
No, listen.
You had 2 beers, 3 beers.
No, listen.
You're losing it.
Service in the restaurant.
Do you want me to take over this one?
No, it's
Are you
fine.
sure?
Yeah, let's get it. We go.
All right.
Come on, let's start.
We done?
Is that
Over
us?
you? That's us done.
What's on?
So,
I
boys,
haven't had a drink.
listen.
I think Matt Sterling should take over this one. I really do.
How are we, Matt Sterland? I've noticed you have an energy around you at the minute that is really good.
I have a good energy.
You are flying. Best I've seen you.
I am in a fantastic headspace.
Good.
I am on the ball. Yeah, I'm telling Richie off mic about this. I found my purpose. I really have with my jobs, my careers, my business, which is all very related. And you know what? It's just I'm loving it. Really enjoying it. And when you find that, that's when that's the energy that you see. My aura.
Yeah, it's
Honestly, it's good. I'm in a really
Good.
good space. I am.
I know, and I messaged you the other day
You did. Thank you.
saying that the same. Richard, how are you?
I'm good. So I'm very excited about things are carrying on. Same ups and downs with kind of like reducing my hours at work and all that. But married man, all the things that life throws at you. It's great. I'm happy.
Good.
Life's good. Thank you for. Again, we always catch up, don't we, outside and having good chats. We had a good chat on the phone yesterday about next steps with everything we're doing. And
Do you know as blokes, I don't mind a difficult conversation. Like, I don't mind having that difficult. And I said to you yesterday, I'm going to say some things that you might not like. And you went brilliant. Just brilliant.
No, I love
Let's talk about it. And then we chatted
Right,
about all
let's talk
sorts.
about that then. Let's talk about that. So what I don't like having around me is yes men, or just people who either someone that doesn't give a shit from me, not interested in the stuff I've got going on, or just yes men. I want to be challenged. It's like if I know I'm around people who are going to tell me, be honest, then I know I've got something. Then you know you've got real mates because they've got you. They're looking out for you. It's like, well, have you really thought this one through? Is that the best way to do? That's what you need around you.
Yeah, it's good. It's healthy. Good boundaries.
And one day you'll take some of my advice.
So,
I'm kidding.
I'll get this right here. Welcome to another episode of the Every Man Can podcast.
Well done.
Yeah, you see.
Well done.
Today, well, I can't even describe his bio. So, Gary Phillipson, how are you?
Good. Thank you very much for having us down.
So, Gary
Thanks for coming.
is a voice of Teesside on BBC Tees radio and also at the Fan Zone at Middlesbrough. Safe to say, Borough Nut.
In a sort of positive way, try to keep glass half full rather than glass half empty.
at the minute.
At the minute.
When I asked you for a bio, you said no. So I'm going to do one for you.
Go on then.
Bald ginger bloke.
That's not very nice.
Radio DJ. Borough nut. Disco dancer. And just an all-round Doyle.
Yeah.
Is that how you describe yourself?
Absolutely. Because it's really tough to sort of, when people ask you to distill what you've done in your life, and you think, well, that's not for me to decide, is it? I just sort of meander through life and hit the hurdles like the bad hurdler. And that's where you end up where you are, because you don't do anything by choice, do you? Unless you're very clever.
Well, you're the first guest who hasn't done a bio, and for me, I loved the fact that you just give me free rein. I didn't even research you, really. I just thought Doyle is a great way of
Well, that's a
like
good
introducing.
way. I say I'm a big believer in that. You shouldn't preempt anybody coming in. You see them who they are. I work at the BBC and I do the fan zone, that sort of thing. But sitting around here, you'll get to know the vibe that I'm no different to that fella that you hear every day on the wireless or shouting nonsense in the fan zone.
So, first question we ask every guest is, what is mental strength to you?
No, that's not it. Where do you keep your wallet? Is usually the first
Yeah.
question, but we'll go with that.
The wife's got it. Emily's got that.
Obviously.
I get pocket money. I've got a bit of shrapnel in my pocket. What's mental strength to me? I think it's changed through my life. I think mental strength when I was younger was, because I love football, absolutely love it, was playing and getting out there without any nerves. I've always been nervous. I'm not really a gregarious person, believe it or not. I used to vomit before every game. I used to play football. I used to hate it. And if I could get through every game without hating it, that's mental strength for me. And then as I got older, I sort of got confused mental strength for being a people pleaser. And I thought that'd give you strength. And now I'm in my 50s. Mental strength to me is ploughing your own furrow. That for me, if I feel strong, being able to tell people what I feel in a positive way, but not sort of being aggressive or nasty to people, but being able to say no.
When did you figure that out? Well, how many years in your life were you when you thought, you know what, I'm a people pleaser, I'm not doing what I want to do, I'm doing for other people?
Do you know what it was? It was when in 2015, Christmas of 2014, 2015, Century was Real Radio got took over by another radio group, and for a year prior to that, we were in this position called Hold Separate, because competition committee said there was too much strength in that conglomerate, so they had to split the company away. And in that, we were in no man's land, and it was I for that year I contorted myself. I did everything that I thought was right and said yes to everything, yes to this, yes to that. We started the breakfast show in the May, and we had a year contract, a year left on our contract. And normally with 6 months to go at the end of your contract as a presenter, you'd start having conversations to say, right, we're going to either do another 2-year deal, or we're going to let you go at the end of the contract. And the company was like, oh, well, it's all right. And by this time, my wonderful colleague who I work with, Lisa Shaw, Lisa was pregnant. And a couple of months later, Emily became pregnant with our twins. So we were like, oh, this is 3 months or so. Oh, everything will be fine. And it was mid-December. Our contract ended the 31st of December. And you normally know when you're going to get the bullet when they pull you into the office one by one and said, we're not going to renew your contract. Well, we had a notice period within our contracts. And I said, is this when the notice period kicks in? And it was a 6 months notice period. They said no. And at that point, my life just felt a bit, because I didn't have a job. I was 45 and I had a month to find something. And it was at that point I thought, I've just wasted my time here. trying to please people that just didn't want to be pleased. And that was one of the hardest things. So Emily's pregnant. We find out we're going to have twins. I didn't have any work. And I tell you what I found. I don't know if you found it. When you are at your darkest times, it's those that you don't expect come to the fore. And there were so many people who I didn't expect would have me back came to the fore, and that's how I ended up at the BBC. I ended up covering shows for Paddy McDee on The Late Show. I was doing songs for the shows on a Sunday. I had no doubt about show tunes, but at work, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. I did the gardening show with Marianne Foster. I covered sport on Tees. I literally did anything because that survival mode kicks in, and then I got offered a position at the BBC, and I just thought from that, I don't know if you know this, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck, and I see that now. If it doesn't look right, it's probably not right.
Another hard lesson, a tough lesson. Probably coming out with a feeling like you've been thrown under the bus, all your efforts.
Do you know what's weird about it? Because it'd be easy to feel sorry for yourself, but survival mode kicks in and you go, right, I need to do it. And I would have delivered papers, I did.
But it's the learning and the wisdom that you get from it.
Absolutely, but you go to that sort of survival mode of going, I've got a family to support. Most of us were about 3 months away from going belly. I didn't want to lose my house. I've got kids on the way. I'm 45. And I tell you what's weird, trying to find a job at 45-year-old, being told you were too old to retrain into stuff, and then you think, God, I hear this because of my job, but when you're actually in that position, and for the first time in my life, I had to go to a job centre, and I went to the job centre and Kate said, and I put a suit and tie on, and they laughed at me, and they went, have you done the online thing? I went, no, I'm here now, and I just want to, no, you've got to go home, you sign on via the website, and then we call you in.
Nice.
And they just looked at me in my suit and tie, and I felt about 2 inches, and I'm like, I thought this is how you did it, because I've never been on the tour in my life.
Yeah.
So it's scary, isn't it? People always say you're always one event away from your life completely changing. Mm. And I suppose at that time, 45, I'm 45 now, and I've just found another job, which I found I can really relate to, like that difficulty of being in something and then, am I good enough? And
you do question yourself, don't you?
Yeah, so I've found it really difficult to understand what transferable skills I've got. Like, I was institutionalised for 20 years, and I'm like, what you want to employ me? And then when someone actually went, we want you in the business, it's like, oh, brilliant. But I want to strip it back to when you said you used to play football and used to feel sick all the time. And is that something that's been a mainstay from being a kid, or how old were you? Were you a good footballer?
Yeah, I would, from a very young age, my brother used to bang me in the nets and volley balls at us, as your older brother would do, and you either saved them or you got them in the face or the conkers. Played
keeper?
Yeah, keeper.
Keeper, right.
Yeah, played South East Durham boys.
Just for listeners, Gary's only 3 foot tall.
3 foot. I was very springy. I used to wear springs on my shoes, and I used to wear like Kenny Everett hands.
Well, they worked a jam.
They did. Played county football for school, played district football, played with Maddo, now Madison, and played in the same county side together. Trained with at Middlesbrough with Colin Cooper, Andrew Strong, other Trimdon lads like Paul Ward, Michael Trotter, a lad called Wayne Heavyside from Fishburn. And all I wanted to do was be a footballer, but I always had horrendous nerves, and genuinely it would, to the point of anxiety of nerves. But once I got on the pitch, I was all right. It was the stand in the tunnel, and as long as I had a wee, I was okay. And then I got to 15, and it wasn't panning out. Left school with no qualifications really, 3 O levels, 5 CSEs at the time, and ended up doing an apprenticeship at Sedgefield Council because my mate Gary Guide said, have you thought about gardening, Gaz? I'm like, nah. He went, it's a good laugh, like. I thought, I want that. So I've become an apprentice gardener for Sedgefield Council because it's a good laugh. Started taking it really seriously. Became quite good at it. Then I at the age of 19, I met a girl on a night out, and I moved. Yeah, well, met her at 19, moved from Trimden to Gateshead to move in with her, and then.
Well, you were keen.
I was very keen. Do you know what it was? And you know, in all seriousness, I think I just wanted to get out of Trimden. I think not because
not so much as you wanted to move to Gateshead.
I loved it, but it was just so insular, and I didn't have the greatest relationships with me mum and dad, and I think that was what the key driver. To be fair, I just needed to get out, and I made probably the wrong choice at that time. Within a year, we had a child, and Holly was really poorly for a very long time. She was in hospital for 14 months with a thing called a tracheoesophageal fistula, and so 19-year-old, I was working at Newton Aycliffe, getting the 723 bus from Lowfell, from Gateshead bus station through Lowfell, down through Chestnut Street, into Aycliffe, coming back, going into hospital, into the RVI on a night time, where, you know, the ex-wife would be there, would have tea in the RVI hospital. A couple of times, I don't mind admitting, a couple of times she died, and that's why middle name's Victoria, because she got christened in the chapel of the RVI. But she pulled through. That marriage failed, and it was obvious it was going to fail because of the stress of such a young age. But Hall, you know, carried on having real medical issues right the way through. She still has now, but you know, she's working out to 35, and she's just great, absolutely great. And then jumped straight back into another relationship, clawing for, you know, trying to find something. And another, my son Tom was born. You know, Tom's absolute legend, absolutely doted on him. And then that marriage failed, and that was when I think, you know, at that time I'd lost my dad to cancer. I'd lost my nan and granddad who brought me up, because I live with my nan and granddad. My granddad died first. My dad died, and then my granddad died. And I don't think I properly dealt with any of it. It was just moving on. And it wasn't until my second marriage had failed, I decided I wanted to end it all. I'd had enough. And I sort of giggle, because we talk a lot about mental health on the show, and I talk to a lot of people that have had horrendous mental health issues. And I get this, you know, this little internal snigger where they say it's good to talk. The last thing I wanted to do was talk.
Yeah.
I walked across the Tyne Bridge.
Hard to believe, I know.
It's bizarre.
No, I know.
It's absolute. Do you know what it felt like? It was like a polo mint. I was craving for someone to find my pain, but then once you get into the middle bit, you become. No matter what anyone had said, I walked across the Tyne Bridge to throw myself off the Tyne Bridge, right. And right in the middle of it, there's a Samaritan sign. I laughed at it. I said, "You're too late. Where were you? You know, you're too late with this." And I don't know how much detail you want to go into, but
as much as you're comfortable with going.
Oh, I don't mind. You know, I think you build on your experiences, don't you?
It's the build. I mean, that build up to that point. All those things you've described, 2 divorces, difficult, you know, a child with a lot of ill health.
Yep.
And that even figuring, you know, you're trying to put that your child priority, trying to navigate your way through those breakups as well. And then at the end of every day, there's a mirror. And you're thinking about the things you're going through, and you're thinking, how much of this is me? And if you're getting to a point where you're thinking, how much hope have I got left? But you ain't able to talk about it. And there was no one else there who, when you got into it and you decided you couldn't talk about it.
It's like filling the bucket, isn't it? You know what I mean? You don't empty it out when it's half full. That's how I sort of felt. It was like, right, I can deal with this, I can deal with this, I can do this. The messiness of the second divorce was, I don't know, because my second ex-wife is still around, and I think it's unfair to sort of discuss details.
Yeah.
But it was it was horrible, and I had to live in the same house with her until we got sorted out. And it was in that period, and I didn't know what was wrong until, you know, it became apparent. I'll tell you, she got pregnant with all that she worked with, and all the time she was pregnant and saying it was my fault, and I couldn't reconcile that. I was like, what's going on here? I don't understand this. I really don't understand. And it was a dinner. We went out for a night out, and I went to hold her hand and pulled her underwear, and I thought, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And then I just got up, went home, kids went to bed, and I just walked down to the Tyne Bridge, and I thought, I'm going to have this. This is it now. Done. I can't take this anymore. I just don't compute it in my head. And got to the end of the Tyne Bridge, where the Inside Traders is, right on the end, Newcastle side, climbed over the barrier, and I looked down, and there was people at the cash machine near the Inside Traders, and I can see it now, and I just thought, I can't destroy their lives. And it was as if when you've been hypnotised, you're back in the room. I thought, what am I doing? And I got back over, and my dear friend Phil Saint, who's a dear friend of mine, I walked up to his house and I knocked on his door and I just said, this is what I've tried to do. And I literally cried all night. And the next morning was, it was as if I'd been hit by a train.
Firstly, thank you for sharing that. Like, to be so open and honest, and that's hopefully what we're trying to get out on this, is like, men, and when you say, I couldn't talk, when I listen to you now, like Richie says, I find that hard because you're so open and honest about it. But going to your friend, how did that make you feel when you went to your mate? Did you know that's where you had to go?
Yeah. I went, you know, Phil he'd been my confidant right the way through this because I couldn't make any sense out of it.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, she wasn't happy. It was a one fling. Circumstances happen, and I'm not blaming anyone here.
Sure.
You know, please don't. I'm not blaming anyone. You know, when it come to it all come out, you know, our Tom, we split childcare. Everything was. Some things just break.
They do.
And you've just got to be. It was that little in between, but I couldn't understand, and she couldn't tell me, and I felt guilty that she couldn't tell me.
But can I speak frankly about this?
Of course you can.
Is that right? Okay. So the state of mind of someone, and I've been there, I've felt that, what you felt, so I can relate to it. That feeling of suicide is about ending one's own life. Is about yourself, isn't it? It's about your relation to what you think your role is within what's happened. I think it's really helpful to talk about that and to share it if you're comfortable to, in terms of mindset at that point. And then where you went to, you decided not to do it because you didn't want to create some hell for someone else, which is admirable in itself. But to be able to say those things and actually go, right, how bad things have got to be to think that's my best option, but it's only you and you. And by the way, if you're not aware, suicide with men is the biggest killer of men under 45. So we are the biggest risk is looking in the mirror. That's the person under 45 who's the biggest risk. So that thing about what that relationship was to you, what were you looking at yourself and thinking? Can you remember any of that?
I don't know, because it was weird because I was still working. I was doing the late night zoo at TFM. I was on air, and that 3 hours on air was just
performing
the release that I needed. And bless Phil would sometimes come down with me and sit in the studio because he was worried about, but I didn't see that. I didn't see that in myself because I was in sort of, you know, like limp mode on a car. Limp mode, but I've got to work because if I don't work, I'll lose my house.
That's it.
And if I don't have any money, I'll not do this, I'll not do that.
Like
and if I tell the bosses, they'll take me off air. The last thing I want to do is be taken off air because it's my only little bit of control. And that's how I sort of worked it to myself.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to lose the big thing I had control over, which was that 3 hours where I could talk. And some of the stories, people were pouring their hearts out to me. And that in a perverse way, helped because I didn't have to think about me, because I could think about others. And it wasn't as if I was using them as a crutch. It was just, I sort of understood. I got a deeper meaning that they were feeling when I was listening to them.
Yeah. You said it there. It's the only thing I had left control of.
Yeah.
That's a lot to say. There's a lot in that.
Absolutely. And I recognise that now. And that's the after all, for about a week or so, it was just, my head was gibberish. But I went to see my GP, and she was brilliant. And she went, right, we can do this, and this. And I said, I really don't want to take tablets. I said, I really, really don't.
Why?
I didn't feel comfortable.
Why?
I just didn't. It just, again, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. I just thought, I don't want to get to that position where I become reliant on them, or I need to take them. And I thought, there's got to be a way where I need to work out, like an ice cream scoop it out rather than mask it. Okay. So what she did, and it was a wonderful thing, an online thing, and it was run by the Scottish Mental Health Society, whatever, and it was just cognitive thinking, and do 3-line accounting of what matters, what doesn't matter, and what you can avoid, what you can affect, what you can't affect, and what really doesn't matter. And I still do this to this day. Every Friday I do my 3-line of what matters, what doesn't matter, and the rest can go to hell in a handcart. And it was from that moment then I sort of started really thinking of, well, by pleasing people all the time, is it actually benefiting you? Or is being honest with people?
Actually, I'm a bit disappointed to say I saw my name on that list of the go to hell in the handcart. No. I hope that's not going to be the future, but yeah, no, that's right. It's a good thing to do. One of the things I've thought is about, a lot of people focus on things they can't control, right? So, and it could be world events. It could be things that are like potential things that can happen. Usually in the future, what ifs? Yeah. What ifs can be really dangerous if you let yourself if you lose yourself in that kind of thinking. That sounds like what you're talking about.
It is, and the doc said to me, she was bro. She just said, "Why worry twice about something?
Yeah,
wait for it to happen. You can worry for it once, and then if it doesn't happen, then you've worried for now. But if it does happen, then it's the time to worry."
And that was a GP that gave you those skills. That's fantastic.
She was great. I had one visit. I did one visit to the GP.
No kidding.
She gave me the website. I worked through it. That was hard. It was like wading through treacle. But just the 10-minute consultation I had with it, that was the toolkit I needed just to sort of put myself back on the rails. Brilliantly, we sorted everything out financially. I bought my own little flat. I moved into my flat, and I was 40, and I'd never lived on my own before. And what I did, I would challenge myself. And I thought, so DIY, never done it before, because I'm absolutely hopeless, buying knives and forks. I took my mum, bless her, to Portrack Lane and, buying towels. I said, what else do I need? Well, you'll need a spatula.
So did she say to you, you need to get yourself a bottom drawer, son?
Yeah.
Bottom drawer.
Bottom drawer.
So when I got divorced and I moved back to my mum's, she went, you get yourself a bottom drawer, son. I said, what's one of them? She went, pots, pans, cutlery, your tea towels, your essentials, son. I was like, brilliant. And bottom drawer.
That is exactly what Jane did. She was like, you need to get this, and stuff I hadn't even thought about. And I was lucky that it was a difficult thing because I was still living in the house with my ex-wife, and we worked things really well, and obviously we weren't the best of mates, but we worked things through for Tom. I'd take him to school, pick him up from school, and then I'd go to work on a night time, and then weekends I'd go to see my mate in Darlington for one night, and then she'd be out and I'd have him, and we'd work at that and try to make it as easy as possible for the bed. I don't think it was, but you try to make the best and be open as possible.
You do the best you can at the time.
Absolutely.
And that's what you were doing. And you were keeping the kids at the centre, and what more can you do?
The flat, it was the Friday. I got the keys. Brad managed I'd rented it before I bought it, and I decorated it, did everything. It was all spot on. And I got the keys, and Tom was supposed to be with me on the Friday night, and he was coming to stop over, and I was so proud. And through the night, he just went, I don't feel like this is home, I want to go. Broke my heart. But I said, okay, son, that's, oh gosh, is this what it is? So for the rest of the weekend.
How old was he?
Tom would have been 9.
9, okay.
And then the rest of the weekend I sat in the flat on my own because I thought I'm going to actually grim this out. And I sat in my knickers on the couch watching Sky Sports with 4 tins of Ace, and I thought, right, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to make this my home.
You really did grim it out, didn't you?
Absolutely grimmed it.
Anything else to add to the picture?
Absolutely grimmed it.
Yeah.
And then since then, it's just been understanding my triggers, knowing what gets me, and being able to disseminate the important stuff from the chaff.
Yeah.
And I try to do that as much as I can. And I know I've been open and a bit oversharing, but how many blokes will have been in that situation where, you know, this...
I'm proud of you for sharing it.
It's not... See, this is... I get it.
Look, you don't have to sit there and go... Like, I know if you say anything else other than kind of like, I don't want you to feel proud about it. But actually, that's how I feel about it. Because I see a man who is being brave.
I've took control. It's not bravery. I've grappled control of my life, and sort of got it into a situation where I surrounded my. It's funny with divorces, and I don't know, you know, or catastrophic moments in your life. You get an opportunity to cut people out of your life that are just hoovers. They just suck the life away from you, and surround yourself with people who give to your life. Whether they can put a shelf up for you, or they love the same sort of music as you. Because how many mates, you know, I know people in the past, you know, Facebook, can you get us tickets for this? Can you get us tickets for that? And like, I do it, and you go, well, what am I doing it for?
I'm not being funny, but like, if I said to you that courage and vulnerability are in the same corner, would you agree with that?
I don't quite understand.
So by sharing what you're doing, by being vulnerable, it's a courageous thing to do. If men don't talk about what they've got going on, it's a hard thing to do, isn't it? To cough up. When you went to your mate's and knocked on his door off the Tyne, you know, after walking off the Tyne Bridge, I'd bet that there was something that before you knocked on that door, you were like pausing.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I strided to his house because it was the point.
You'd already made that decision.
It was that back in the room moment of getting and thinking, because I hate heights as well.
Right.
And I'm thinking, oh no, what am I doing over here? What happens if I slip?
Yeah.
And so straight over the top, it's like, right, go and see Phil. Phil, this is what I've tried to do. Right, I'll make a cup of tea. By the time we come back with a pot of tea, I was in floods of tears. But it's taking control of who you are. A big knock, but I lost my mum 9 years ago to epilepsy, and it's something I'm really passionate on because she died of a thing called soothes, which it's sudden death through epilepsy. So she'd gone to bed and been reading a book because we know she'd done it. She'd read a book, put a book down, took her glasses off, and died. And it's like basically your body just shuts, and we didn't say ta-ra to her, and that really like befuddled me, and it stopped me for a bit in my tracks because like we just had the twins, Emily and I had just had the twins, and they didn't know their grandma, and that really sort of hit me hard. But again, you then take control of that situation and you keep grandma's memory alive through stories, and you talk about stuff, and I can't stop the fact she's dead. She's dead, but we can still enjoy what she was for what she gave to us.
Gary, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Just a quick break from the pod, and an opportunity for us to thank our partners, Everyone Active. Everyone Active have numerous gyms and facilities across the Tees Valley area. Sign up with them today, get your memberships. Physical exercise, as we all know, has a massive positive impact on our mental health also. Back to the pod. Gary, I think we had to break I don't know whether it was a poignant point or not, but like, again, thank you for sharing your story. I think it's, what I've took away from it is it's a normal story for men. And I've been through a divorce. I had 2 young children at the time, really struggled with trying to build a home when their home is at mum's. And that really hit a nerve with me. I've been through a breakup which is horrendous, and the what's been spat out of that relationship has caused a lot of issues and a lot of turmoil. But it's normal, right? And I think, you know, people dying around you, people passing away, unfortunately, like your parents and stuff. And I think what you've done in the past half an hour is really drill home that there are so many men going through what you're going through, using work as an escape. I did that, and I sacrificed time with my kids for doing that, and that's something I'm trying to rectify now. And you throw yourself into things that really don't matter. And as a bloke, like, we do this, we throw ourselves into work, into, like, we get to keep ourselves busy. And now I look back now at, like, the things I sacrificed to spend time with my kids, to just to busy myself, and that really makes me sad now. But I know I've got a great relationship with my two, and I think it's really powerful. And what I want to get to now is, so you've gone through everything like that, everything you've spoke about. How have you got to where you are now, and how and who and what has made you? And Richie said you're brave, and you are brave, and any man who speaks out is brave. Any person who speaks out is brave. But
the word I was looking for was courage.
Yeah.
Because to speak out is courageous. It is.
So to give you that courage to now go, right, sit on here with us, and
I've got nothing to be ashamed of. And
that's the amazing thing.
And that, you know, so some, you know, I hope there's thousands of people listening to this. They can judge me if they want. I am who I am, and I've done. I can't change. Don't live your life with wing mirrors on. I can't change what I've done in the past. But, you know, I've sort of pressed it down my struggles, and that's over 54 years. In that 54 years, I've had some amazing times. I've met amazing people. I've been to amazing places. I've done some fantastic things. You know, 30 years of working in broadcasting, and it's afforded me a wonderful, wonderful life of journey and imagination, and, you know, working on the radio. Softest hands are trimmed in these. You go down Trimden, I tell you, they're like Andrex Velvet, as opposed to my mate Brownie, who's got ISO hands. So I think it's easy to sort of focus on the downsides of what you've gone through, but it's got to balance up against those wonderful highs you've got in life. You know, the birth of your children. You know, the news that you get that you know, I won a Gold Sony Award in 2012 for the best breakfast show in the country. You know, those highs, you've got to treasure them as much as you need to battle the lows. And
that's really important, I think, when you are caught up in the whirlwind of depression and stress and circumstance around you, you forget the good times. Yeah. And you talked about control earlier, and it's a really interesting thing that I've really brought into my life now. Like, I feel for the first time at 45 that I'm in not full control, because you're never in full control, but I'm in control of when I work, who I work with, who I associate with, who I speak with, who I reach out to, who I don't reach out to, what I spend my money on. Can I do this? And I think it's an amazing thing for men to do, but I think it's an amazing thing for men to do with that single-minded, I'm going to do this for myself. And that's not being selfish, but I think you've got to do things a lot of the time for yourself that we don't do, because, like you say, you're a family man, you're trying to support a house, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do everything else. When you try and find control for yourself, that makes everyone else's life better and a lot easier.
It's just been, it's having an honest conversation with yourself, and you know, I think you're right, you do look at yourself in the mirror. I don't remember doing it back in the day, but if you do, you put like a facade on. I'd go and buy records if I felt down. I'd go out and go to HMV and spend £200 on a bunch of albums, and then listen to those LPs, and it made me the happiest man in the world.
It's a lie. The mirror lies, though.
Of course it does.
That's the point. Is that you're looking at yourself, isn't it, Gary? And it's like, oh, you're telling yourself that by looking at yourself, it's your fault. It's this, it's that. And actually, you know, that little inner voice, it lies to you all the time. It lies to you all the time.
I get the sense you, as blokes, we just want equilibrium. We just want what we had.
Yep.
And you lose something and you want to replace that straight away. I'm that type of character where I want continuity, but I'm not that person anymore. I don't strive the continuity. I embrace the imperfection of life. You know, things are not brilliant all the time. You can't guarantee happiness and excellence. Things have got to be worked at. Relationships have to be worked at. You know, I've got to a point where I can choose who I want to be with.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes it might come across as I'm a grouchy devil, or I'm sort of grumpy. But it's not. It's just I don't. And I've always had this issue in life where I can't schmooze. I can't be with people I don't particularly want to be with. Small talk, to the point where I'm sure I'll get up out of meetings and go, I've had enough of you. I've had enough. Oh, you can't. I can. I'm going to the pie shop. What's the worst you can do? You can sack me. But I can't be on for that.
So isn't it really interesting? Like, people always talk about like a lot of traumas born from childhood and stuff, but like, I work in schools now, so I go into schools and help young people. And I always say to the young people I work with, when you talk about choosing who you're with, it's not your fault you've been thrown in an environment with 2,000 people who probably for the rest of your life you don't want to spend any time with. The majority of them. And the circumstances and the behaviours that come out of school and them experiences, we're giving young people experiences that you'd never choose to do in your adult life.
I'll tell you about when my brother and I lived with our grandparents because my mum couldn't cope with having us. So live in a small village, living with my brother, and my mum and dad live round the corner. I thought that was perfectly normal, and I sort of tracked this back. Granddad would have been 55, Nana would have been 45, so my age and your age, taking on board a newborn, which would have been me. And I was brought up by my Nana and Granddad. It was brilliant. It was like the best thing ever.
Was there ever a point in your childhood when you looked at that and thought that wasn't the regular thing?
No.
Really?
Absolutely not. I had no... The only time I sort of... It sort of rankled a little bit was when my grandparents had to go to an old folks bungalow, and I think it's fair to say that my mum and dad didn't have the best of relationships. He wasn't the best of men to me mum, and they would argue a lot. And when I was 14, I had to go and live with them, and I can just remember going, oh shit. And I was like, right, okay, you make do and mend. And
so their grandparents were fantastic.
Oh, they were mint.
They were your adopted parents, basically. They covered it.
They did it all.
So you didn't come out with any of these attachment things. It wasn't like basically, you know, you had that as well. Although, you mentioned earlier about the death of your granddad came first and so on.
That was heartbreaking. Yeah. It really was.
Earlier,
but he was, you know, he was old. He had I don't know if I can tell this. Can I?
Do it.
Do it. So he died on the toilet. He thought
Elvis.
He was Elvis.
He was Elvis. My granddad was Elvis. But he had a heart attack, and they say, don't they, with heart attacks, it feels like you need a poo. And apparently he got up, went in, and my nana thought he's taking it a while. And he was dead on the toilet, and they had to phone the warden, and there he was sat there. Like, have you ever seen the front cover of Farewell to Kings by Rush?
No.
Check it out.
I think I will be when I get home.
I would. But and then, so that was. There's always been this theme of humour running through our life, and like, my granddad's dead, but he died on the toilet. It's like, wowzer, like Elvis. But he was a big influence on my life. He was just this wonderful fella who, you know, everyone goes on about, you know, how being brought up, or you get the clip round the back of them. Never hit once as a child. All my nana had to say, your granddad will be disappointed. Yeah. That was all that they had to say. Yeah. Don't want to disappoint Tommy.
So Elvis, toilet. And obviously moving forward, you're now successful show on BBC, Radio Tees.
Yeah.
Award-winning
Music.
show.
Award-winning.
So music, You sat with a Northern Soul t-shirt on.
Good.
So your love of music in the borough,
Yeah.
Middlesbrough Football Club. Talk to us about that, and talk to us about how that has helped you probably get through some real dark times.
I learned to read through music. I struggle with reading, and I learned to read by reading sleeve notes out of records. And I remember the first record I ever heard was in my nana's dining room with our Alan, and it was Parallel Lines by Blondie. And I remember putting it on. It was like it was a Fidelity record player. It was red with a cream top. And it had 2 gold buttons, tone and volume, and just that one speaker. And he put it on. It was like, wowzer, absolute wowzer. But it was a real conundrum in our house, because my granddad was born 1914, Jenny was born 1924, so 1977, height of punk rock. Yeah. My brother, so I would have been 7, my brother would have been 13, mohair jumper. He wanted to be in a punk band. He bought a Vox bass amplifier and a Fender a jazz bass, brought it home, said, I'm going to be in a punk band. I mean, went, well, hey, that's nice for you. And then she said, where are you going to put that thing, the big box? And our aunt says, well, I'm going to put it there because I'm going to practice in there. So he put this big bass amplifier in the dining room. And the first thing my nana did, don't forget, this is the height of punk rock. So she put a doily and some plastic fruit in a bowl on top of it. And there is the whole like punk rock era just totally wiped out by a doily and some plastic fruit in a bowl. So that was at my growing up. It was like sort of pre-war.
That fruit just ended up all Johnny Rotten, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, so plastic Bertrand. Hey.
So music's helped you
massive
through.
Listen, I remember
bad times.
Absolutely. You know the songs. I've picked my funeral tune. It's Father On by Jackson Browne, and that song speaks to me the most. From the Pretender album, and it's just beautiful. The piano played by a guy called Jai Winding. It's crystalline, and I hear that song, and I see me being carried out in a box with that playing, and then just as the final note plays, I get out the door. No mind, look, I'll have fallen out by that point.
Someone will have dropped you off.
Or someone will put, I don't know.
To the beat, though. As long as they pick you up to the rhythm.
Or Blancmange will be played. They'll get the wrong tape. But yeah, you listen to music, and I take on board what Ian Jury said from the Blockheads. When I listen to music, I don't want to be made to feel sad. I want to be made to feel inspired. Whether that music is slow or whether that music fast or whatever, I want to feel invigorated by that music. I don't want to be brought down by it.
So I always say music's a time and a place, and what music can do is transport you to a time and a place, and take you to places that you might never have been to but you wish to get to. And I think music through dark times is really, really powerful, and it can make you sad, but what it can do is give you memories. And I think music is so powerful when we are struggling. I'm a massive music fan, and when we are struggling, when we talk about mental strength, just even putting on an upbeat house record, or I like my hip hop, and I can listen to something and I think, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, and it's a really, really powerful tool. So being a DJ, on Radio T's and having an award-winning show, but what you get the power to do is do that every day. Oh wow! So Gary's shown us
1/4 of my
record collection.
I got 24,500 records.
Who's counting?
Me.
Hey!
I know exactly where they are, and I know exactly where I bought each and every one of them. Living Thing by ELO was the first single I ever bought. And my little room in there, I know what's in there, and that's mine. So out of every divorce, that's the first thing that goes.
So I'm really interested in collecting.
Yeah.
And I'm massively interested in... I love clothes, I love music, I love... When I look at lads who collect trainers, Adidas trainers, lads who collect music, lads who collect coats, lads who collect... I'm trying to find the link, but there's something there. Yeah. So when I watch... we discussed Paul Heaton And he hasn't. He collects bags of crisps.
Does he?
Yeah, he collects
Crisp bags.
crisp bags. Yeah. So, but he will document
Best mates with Gary Lineker, is he?
everything with what he's collected, when he's collected it, and why he's collected it. And
Got it.
there's some link somewhere. And I'm going to ask you: you collecting all of them records and cataloguing when, why, how, putting them to a time and a place. Do you think that is linked to a coping mechanism for you? I know it's a deeper question but some might say you've got OCD. Some might say, oh, he's a bit.
Well, you've seen the state of that room. That's another OCD.
But what I'm saying is, do you think there's a link with collecting whatever you collect?
I think once you get in, and I think that why I have so many is so you buy. I remember the first Jam LP I bought was Sound Effects. I needed to have all the Jam albums because I wanted the collection, because I wanted to see, right the way from, Modern World, right the way through The Gift. I wanted to see how that journey had gone on record. And the thing is I love about vinyl is you are hearing that album how the artist wanted you to hear it. So you put on side 1, track 1, and then track 2 comes in. It's there for a purpose. Spotify, you can flip around and you can't put Dark Side of the Moon on shuffle because it's not going to work. You've got to listen to it in its sort of chronological order. And I think that works into again, Pink Floyd. If I've bought 5 Pink Floyd albums and there's 14, I need to get them all because I need to be able to listen to how things have transcended through. So I'll not buy remastered versions, I'll not buy live versions. I don't need to. I just want to see the journey of that artist for my own self-worth. You see what I mean?
I really do. I'm thinking so many different things. I don't even know where to start with it. But tracking the journey and the creative thought process. So then, how do you reflect? How does that reflect on you?
Well, then you get to understand where the band are or the artist has been at that time. My favourite artist is Jackson Browne. I love Jackson Browne, and from starting off writing for the muse of Andy Warhol and Nico, he wrote These Days for her. He then recorded it. He wrote Take It Easy, which the Eagles took and made a hit out of. And how his sort of naive songwriting, Laurel Canyon, and that real quintessential West Coast American sound, to how he then into the 90s became a real political voice, railing against the government of the day. How did that young man with such a pure sense of music become there? You've got to listen to all the LPs to understand why.
It's great hearing.
Yeah,
when did that journey start for you then, collecting the vinyl?
I genuinely remember when I bought my first record, Living Thing by ELO. It was Boots on Stockton High Street, and we were waiting for the TMS to go back to Trimden, and it was 49 pence. And I think the carrier bag was the one which had a pop singer on the front in sort of 2 or 3 tone colour, like a cartoon, and then a conductor on the other side of the bag. And I took that record home because that was mine. That was my first record I ever bought with my money. I was on that LPs, but that was mine, and that was the start of buying.
So you found your vice, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you found your vice, like, and I watch stuff about lads who collect trainers or coats, and like people are obsessed with Massimo Rosti with CP Company, Stone Island and stuff like that. They can remember the first coat they bought, where it was, how much it was, got the receipt, kept the tags, still hung up in the wardrobe, hardly ever worn.
Yeah.
Adidas trainers the same, and I think trainers as a whole, Nike now, and I think finding your vice, and it gives you, and it's a deeper, wider conversation, but it gives you a sense of purpose to keep even plodding on. When times are dark, I think I'll go and buy some records, and I'll put the records on and stuff like that. So Gary, as you are now, successful radio show, very honest, open, humble guy, a Doyle. Love the borough. You also you do a lot for Middlesbrough Football Club.
I do.
And do you love that?
I do love it. It's it's that attachment of, you know, to the team you support, and I don't tend to talk a lot about the stuff I do because it's under the radar. You just do stuff, don't you? It's
So you talk at the fan zone, don't you?
One thing it's not is under the radar.
No.
But go on.
well, the fan zone basically, the fan zone, which the idea was hatched. They wanted to do something, and they had an idea of what they wanted. They'd seen other fan zones, and this was pre-COVID, and said, we would really like to do this, and I've got to give a big power up to Yvonne Ferguson on this.
Oh yeah, I know Yvonne.
You know Yvonne. Yvonne's brilliant. And Yvonne said, do you fancy it? And I was like, well, yeah, what do you want to do? And they said, well, we'll have bands on, we'll do this. And I said, less is more. I said, you need to create a vibe where it's like a tribe. People come, you play a bit of music, you then, how it is now, how it's got into now, so people say it's, you know, Matt's birthday, we're going to surprise him. Goodie bag, yeah, there you go, happy birthday, mate. And you don't need to be in people's faces all the time. And it's grown exponentially. And I do very little, to be honest with you. But it's like keeping the pot hot.
But little is more.
Yeah.
So I've been stood there working as I am at the foundation. I've been stood there as a fan, and there's away fans sat there laughing and listening to the music and enjoying a beer, and I love that.
We encourage that, and that's why, you know, the club get really good reviews when the championship do the sort of call. I don't know what the terminology is, but away fans, we get repeat away fans coming season after season. They bring their families, and you know, Coventry fans are great. They'll come and they'll go, "Hiya, Gaz, how are you? You all right?" And we make a fuss of them. You know, the favourite thing I love doing is watching a young away fan slowly thinking, "Oh." So I'll go down, and I always get, Yvonne sorts us out, it's like an old programme from a past match. You know, whoever we're playing on the day with a new one, I'll go down and say, are you a Coventry fan or are you a Bristol fan? Yeah. So that's for you, that's from us. But don't take the points away. You can have that as long as you don't take them. He's never going to forget.
But you're welcoming so, as a proud Teessider, you're welcoming people to Teesside.
But we do that, don't we?
We do. And where it's situated as well, with the Ayrsham gates.
Yeah. Do those, don't you?
Then onto the riverside and stuff. And I think it's amazing. Gary, I think I want to... Unfortunately, we're running out a bit of time, but...
We've talked about a lot here.
We have.
We've gone, I mean, it's brilliant. And I can just say we've squeezed
what we were going to talk about, we haven't spoke about, but that's for another time. But you've touched on a few times around what you do for yourself. What articulate what you do for yourself now, having been in such dark times, to keep yourself regulated. And if you were to give advice to people listening, what would that be?
Be true to you. I value family time now, and you know, we try every weekend if possible. We go to Seaton Crew and we have an ice cream and get some chips and go sea glass collecting with the kids. I manage my time better, and I feel quite guilty about this because my oldest son Joe, and Holly and Tom, I didn't give them that time, because I think when you're younger you live to work, and now I work to live. And you know, I've got a great group of friends, a very close group of friends. I cut off a lot of people after my divorce because I didn't think I needed them in my life. And you know, it's all right having a big circle of friends, but I don't need a big circle of friends. You know, I've got 3 or 4 really, really close friends that, you know, we socialise as families. We go on holiday together. And self-care, you've got to love yourself, and I think that's the you've got to love you. I don't look at what I do as special, because I've been very lucky. I've had people that believed in me, and a lot of people haven't. But I've been lucky along the way that some people have gone, let's give him that chance. You know, I would never have gotten the job at BBC if it wasn't for a lady called Sarah Carter, who I worked with at Rio. And Sarah said, you can do that. You know, like, I can't. You know, I can't do that. And she went, you can. And it's just that little bit of belief, and then once you get that little belief, you believe in you.
There's a message there to look out for your mentors, but there's a message there to be a mentor to other people when you get the chance as well. Give other people that lift and let them see the opportunities that they can't see themselves.
It's not difficult. Sometimes you're feeling, can I swear? Shit. I go to work some days, I feel absolute shit. But if one of the young guys from work come in and they've done a bit of work and you think they've done a great bit of just tell them.
So easy, innit?
That's all
and
you
it
need.
means so much. You remember when you were young?
Yeah. And you know, to be, you know, don't be jealous of other people. I mean, you know, I in our industry,
Be happy
I
for
can
the
count
people.
on one hand the people I've become friends with in radio.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of people that work at radio, they are always looking behind. They're after my job. Yeah. So what they think the best thing to do, because someone's, I'm going to denigrate them, I'm going to put them down, I'm going to make them feel really shit about themselves.
Be happy for the people's success.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Enjoy it.
It's value based. It's like what would it's like treating each other treating others how you want to be treated yourself.
Absolutely.
It is that, isn't it?
See, I
Confidence,
make no bones. You talk to
ego.
anybody I work with, they'll go, I'm not, I don't think that's very good. I think that's shit, actually.
Yeah.
And but I value me and how I sound and what my show sounds like and how I want that to be. Now, if the BBC don't want that, off I go.
That's it.
But if my name's on the tin, I want to be able to go and say to you, I'm proud of what I do. Now, if I'm letting somebody else chuck stuff in there and I'm not proud of it, I couldn't look you in the eye and say, proud of that, because I wouldn't be. And I can't bullshit. I'm absolutely awful at lying.
You are indeed a man who has found what works for you.
Absolutely.
And for like some of us, myself included, it takes longer to find that. But when you do find it, you never go back.
You don't. And that's one thing I would genuinely tell you. Don't be afraid to talk about your feelings and how you feel, whether it's to the dog or be honest with yourself about it. You know, days are shite. And I will go through days and I can feel it. I can feel I'm not right. But I know I will be right. And it's like a sine wave, you know, the dips, but there will be an up. And that up might be Aidan Hackney scoring the goal against Chelsea and you get in there.
Or other than play like they did against Bristol City on Saturday. We won't say much more about that.
Sine waves, down and up. Down
Gary,
and up.
you're going to hear every word I'm going to say here. But humbling, true to yourself, amazing story, and people of the area will be and are proud of you. And you are, honestly, and I'm not just saying that, listening to you tonight and the brief conversations I've had with you and the fact that you didn't want to give me a bio means a lot to me. Like, but that does.
Do you know me now?
Yeah.
You don't need a piece of paper
But
with what's on to you.
this is why I know you're going to hate what I'm going to continue to say, but people will be and are proud of you. And I know everyone that speaks of you, everyone that speaks of you at the football club, because I work there now, speaks very highly of you. People have told me to say hello to you today because of who you are, what you are, and you are a genuine, beautiful bloke who has gone through a journey that I would say most men who listen to this have gone through, are going through, or are going to go through. And you're an inspiration, and just keep doing what you're doing. Because people like you are the sole reason why we do stuff like this.
I don't know what to say.
You don't have to say anything, but thank you.
Thank you for having us along.
Thanks for coming,
brought
guys.
us half.
It's been bloody beautiful chatting to you, Paul. It is. What an absolute... I'm just kidding. Thanks, everyone. Cheers, Gary. Done.